So this has two rootstocks.
So SS/C2SC/C.
So the one on the skinnier one, like, what is the purpose of this again? It's that it's going to get two. One was a vegetative.
One is more vegetative growth oriented, and one is maybe more hardy to frost. Or
and this whole block
better.
is like that.
No, just a few trees in this row.
Just a few trees.
Yeah.
So they have two separate variety rootstocks that are combined together.
Rootstocks, and then when you're done with the one, if you ever need to take one out for any reason, you can just cut it off.
So literally just cut right there.
Yep, and then that would be done. It would be no.
And if you had to, you could cut off this big one, and it would still grow.
It would still grow. It wouldn't have enough roots probably for the whole tree because there's a dominant.
Like here's
it's
another
all
one.
growing off of that one, and this is just growing it. The same way that you would graft a scion onto a seedling.
Okay.
You would slice it. You would make vertical cuts across the top. You peel the bark back.
Okay.
And then you put the wood in contact with the wood, and then you put
The wrap it up with that
and
tape.
then
Wrap
you
it
wrap
back.
it back up with the grafting tape.
That makes
and
sense.
it stays in place long enough that they start growing together.
Got it.
They're different. There's still a dominant and a passive, but this one's bigger
Yeah.
than the other one.
Yeah,
So-
one's always bigger and the
Yeah,
one's
dude,
smaller.
And what's the benefit of this, you think? Is that it's going to allow it to be cold, grow faster despite the cold?
All these different rootstocks have different advantages. So this entire grove is on a carrizo rootstock. And so the advantage of that is it's resistant to Lyme-induced chlorosis. So if you have a heavy lime block and you see, sometimes you'll drive by a citrus grove and you'll see there's maybe a horizontal or a vertical or even a diagonal line running through it, and all the trees on this side of the field look yellow and all the other ones look great. Oftentimes that's a thing called Lyme-induced chlorosis. And what that is it's a disease that causes the roots to rot, and that's started by there being too much lime in the soil.
Lime.
Well, carrizo is more resistant to lime, but it doesn't make the fruit quite as sweet. So you have an advantage of being resistant to lime, you have a disadvantage of the sweetness.
Okay.
Now, the flip side of that is you'll have a lot more vegetative growth on a carrizo tree. So if you're trying to get it up to the top of the trellis faster and get to full production faster, it's faster, but then you might be able to harvest later in the season. So if you have a really early grove and you want to take advantage of, say, early fruit, you may not get that on the carrizo rootstock because it doesn't sweeten up as fast.
Okay.
Carrizo also doesn't stay on the tree as long. The fruit falls apart faster. So that's not a good mix of traits right there. It's slow to sweeten and doesn't last on the tree very long. So that's another consideration. You might have something like Rangpur, which is a lime rootstock, and that is very vegetative and grows very fast. There's C2, which is a hybrid rootstock. There's C35 is a hybrid between carrizo and trifoliate, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But it's kind of got some of the characteristics of both. So the idea of inarching is, say, maybe I want a highly vegetative tree that grows really fast and is resistant to lime, but I still want some sweetness in my fruit. I might take a carrizo and inarch a trifoliate to try to get the sweetness. And I may let that tree grow for 3 years and then inarch it and see if I can get some of those.
So you could do it later. You could
You
delay
can do
that.
it early and late.
Oh,
So
okay.
when you break that connection between, it'll break the chain that's causing those characteristics to come.
So you could add another variable, a rootstock, and it could change the flavor profile of the fruit.
It could change the flavor profile of fruit. And let's say you arched in something like C35 that's super vegetative. It's going to grow really fast. It's going to get up there super good. But now your trees are older and you're not getting the maturity you want on your fruit. Maybe you cut that out. It's done its job, and then you're going to move on with your life.
Oh, so you could change them over time.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that is such a cool method. I'm surprised. It's new. It's kind of in its infancy, right? Not many people are doing it.
I've never seen a full production grove doing this yet. Now, I believe it's done in Brazil, but I've never been there to see it. I think my dad might have seen it.
What do you think of so far? Your anecdotal evidence after trying it. Do you feel it's worthwhile or has potential, possibly?
I think it definitely has potential. I think our next planting will be inarching a very vigorous but not overly useful rootstock into the side, and then my father will know more about what exact rootstock we want to put in.